Hey guys, it's Nicole from Patient Excel, and today I'm going to be walking you through the main benchmarks and metrics that you want to be tracking when running a Facebook ad campaign for your dental practice. Tracking is crucial when running a campaign on the Meta platform, otherwise known as Facebook and Instagram, because it will give you insights on your profitability and campaign success, as well as where in your funnel there may be an issue that can be fixed. While I will be providing you with values for most of these metrics written behind me, it is important to realize that these numbers can vary depending on a variety of factors. And this includes your practice size, your city population and density, how large your audience size is within the ads manager when setting up your campaign, your ad spend budget, and the service that you're promoting. So to begin, CPM stands for cost per milli, which is your cost per 1,000 impressions. Ideally, you want your CPM to be between $15 and $35 because this will give you an idea on how much you'll be spending to get leads and other metrics down this list. Typically, the lower your CPM cost, the lower your other metric values will be. And if you're spending a lot to get 1,000 impressions, you likely are having a problem with your creatives or targeting. So CPLC, or cost per link click, is how much you're spending to have someone click on your ad. Now ideally you want this value to be between $1 and $4, and this is a good metric to see how much traffic you're getting and at what cost. Next is CPL, which is cost per lead. This is how much you're paying to have someone opt into your advertisement, provide their details, and become a lead in your management system. Your CPL can be as low as $5, but it can go up to around $50. And really, this is just depending on the service that you're promoting, which I will explain in more detail a little further into this video. Unlike some people think, this is actually not one of the most crucial metrics because you can have thousands of leads with no conversions, and this just results in no money made back. So now this next one, CPQL, stands for cost per qualified lead, and this is super important, which is how much you're paying to get a qualified prospect. This is important because you need to know how much you're paying for a lead that is able to, first of all, pay for your services, and second of all, is actually a candidate for the treatment that they're opting in for. Now, this amount is one that will vary as well, specifically depending on the service you're promoting. For example, for lower ticket treatments, you could be spending as low as $15 for a qualified lead. Whereas for higher ticket treatments, you could be spending as much as $100 for a qualified lead. Now, once your lead enters into your system, it's important to have your internal systems in place where you are notified of a new lead. Then this benchmark, which is STL, is a non-negotiable, which is speed to lead, and arguably, this is one of the most important metrics. You want to be contacting your leads as soon as possible, and while there is a recommendation of 1 to 3 minutes, you really want to call them as soon as you're notified. This way, you and the advertisement that they just saw and opted in for is still on the top of their mind, as well as their desire and their drive for treatment or finding a solution. Now, some leads may not answer the phone on the first call, and that is why we always recommend, and actually make it a necessity, to double dial each time you attempt to call a lead. It is easy to push off one phone call, but the second call will help to capture their attention and may just be the last push that they need to pick up the phone. This ties into our next metric, which is CAR, or call answer rate. Ideally, you want 7 out of 10 leads, or 70% of those you are dialing, to answer the call. This is a pretty high call answer rate benchmark, but we have this set in place because of our in-depth qualification process that occurs before the prospect even becomes a lead. And because of this process, the call answer rate is high. If you're calling leads and they're not answering, this may be a speed to lead problem where you're not calling your leads fast enough, or it could also be a phone number issue where your call is getting flagged as a spam call rather than showing your practice name. Now next is your booking rate, and with this you want 1 out of 4 leads, or 25% at the minimum, and 1 out of 2 leads, or 50% at a maximum, to go ahead and schedule or book an appointment. That means if you get 100 leads, you want at least 25 of the leads to book an appointment, but ideally 50 of the leads to book an appointment. Now remember, if you do not have a booking rate between this, that is likely an issue with your system. whether that be creatives, your lead capture method, your follow-up process, or your qualification methods. If you want to learn how to have a dialed-in system to reach these metrics, make sure to check out the videos linked in the description to ensure you have the best system in place to make your Facebook ads the most profitable for your dental practice. Now, of those that book, you can calculate your cost per scheduled appointment. And while I'm not actually putting a value here, this metric is important to track so you can be aware of how much you're spending to get a scheduled appointment. Again, I'm not putting a value on this metric because there can be a large variety in this value, really depending on the treatment that you're promoting. For example, for one of our partners, we have a 50% booking rate with a cost per scheduled appointment of $40 for Invisalign treatment. And while this is really good, if you're promoting a service like full arch implants, you will definitely be paying more to get a scheduled appointment because of the cost of treatment, causing you to have a lower volume of leads to work with, as well as people who are ready to go for their consultation. Additionally, your lead capture method for full arch treatment, as we've talked about in previous videos, you're actually sending your leads to an educational and informative landing page where they can learn about the service that they're opting in for. If you're running a full arch campaign and your landing page has a qualification quiz that is 15 questions long, you're going to be paying more for a qualified lead than if you're running an Invisalign campaign with a simple native Facebook lead form or even just a landing page with no questions. But it is worth for these higher ticket treatments to have a more in-depth qualification process so you're dealing with more qualified leads and you're not wasting your time. And like I said, this is why your cost per qualified lead in the beginning of the video also has such a high range in its value. So next is your show rate, which ideally should be 80%. So no-shows are really common nowadays, so you want to make sure you have your systems in place to help decrease your no-show rate. A mandatory precaution should be having appointment reminders set in place to go out at the time of booking, 3 days prior, a call reminder the day before, and a final text reminder 1 hour before the appointment. Also, to increase your show rate, you want to be scheduling patients as soon as possible, ideally within 48 hours, and even better the same day or next day. Another precaution you can take is to enforce a card on file or reservation fee in order to schedule the appointment. A card on file policy would just be to let the patient know in the case that they no-show X amount, which could be something like $25, will be charged. And this is good in terms of free consultations. And a reservation fee is where they'll make a down payment or a partial payment towards their scheduled appointment. Both of these increases their accountability and their responsibility of showing up to their appointment. After you've determined your show rate, you can determine your cost per show, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's how much you're paying for a patient to show up for their appointment. And I won't be putting a value for this either because this again can vary depending on the treatment that you're currently promoting through your Facebook ads. Alright, and then next is your conversion rate, which is the percentage of those that show up for their appointment that move forward with treatment. And ideally you want this to be at 40 to 50%. And finally, in relation to your conversion rate is your cost per acquisition or CPA, which is how much you're spending to get a patient who closes on treatment. At the end of the day, this is your most important metric, as it will tell you how profitable and scalable your campaigns and systems are. Now again, I'm not putting a value on this, but this metric again depends on the service you're promoting and how much you're spending on your ad spend. For example, for an Invisalign campaign, you'll likely only be spending $2,000 to $3,000 per month and will have a high volume of leads, so an ideal cost per acquisition would be around $250, which means you're spending $250 on the platform to get someone to close and move forward with Invisalign. Whereas if you're a big multi-location practice running a full arch campaign, spending 15 to 30 grand a month on your ad spend, you could possibly be paying thousands of dollars for a patient to accept a full arch treatment plan. And then finally, we have the last metric, which is ROAS, also known as return on ad spend. And ideally, you want to have a 5x to 30x ROAS. So these are the KPIs and the metrics that we have set in place because we have systemized and internal operational processes from the creatives and ad targeting in Facebook to the qualification process to the scheduling process that are proven and allow for us to have these metrics. If you don't have your systems and operations set in place, your metrics and benchmarks won't be what is listed behind me. So if you need help with dialing in your dental marketing systems, check out some of the videos we have posted on our channel as it walks you through how to be profitable with your dental marketing campaigns. For now, this is it until the next video. Bye!